And welcome back to Eyes on Carnivore. My name is Sean, and if you haven't already, please check out my previous videos where I discuss my improvements on the carnivore diet. But today we're doing part 2 of Carnivore for Dummies, where we're going to speak with Jimmy and do a bit of a Q&A talking about the ins and outs as Jimmy starts his journey into carnivore. Let's go.
Okay, so my next question was about, and you kind of touched on this previously, but hydration, is that going to be affected? Do I need to be drinking more or less water? What can you say about that?
It's kind of like the hungry bit, if you're hungry, eat food, eat till you're full, and if the food stops tasting good, or you might not even get the signals that says you're full. Just drink when you're thirsty and stop when you're not thirsty. The misconception, I think, is you need to have X amount of litres of water per day. No, that's not true. And in fact, if a person is drinking excess water beyond their needs and not matching that with enough electrolytes, enough salt, let's say, that can lead to cramps and electrolyte imbalances, which can cause other issues, not necessarily major ones, but cramps is generally the one people cite. So, drink water.
Just doing that right now, actually. Speaking of.
Good. Some people, to start off with, when they're still adapting, they might have a bit of salt in their water. Just some. What type of salt you're thinking? Good question, Jimmy. So I use the pink Himalayan sea salt. And pink Himalayan salt comes from Pakistan, where the Himalayas are.
India?
So if you see one that's packed in China, just avoid that.
Okay. Why is that?
Allegedly, when they harvest, they use these chiseling type guns, and they might take a little bit of the rock along with the salt.
A few extra minerals in there.
Unfortunately, mercury and stuff like that.
Oh, the dangerous, poisonous ones.
The ones you don't want,
Toxic for the body.
Right,
okay, well, duly noted.
I also have Celtic salt, CELTIC, and you can look online to get some, because I couldn't find the Celtic salt at the major supermarkets.
Right.
But there's a heap of sea salt and Himalayan salt there.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I mentioned in the introduction of myself that I'm quite active. I like to go to the gym.
Jimmy goes to the gym.
I do.
Yeah, makes sense.
But so I take supplements like creatine and protein powders.
Sure.
The one that I have at the moment is a whey protein, which I believe is like dairy.
Way to go. Yep, sure.
Yeah. Can I still take these things when I'm a carnivore?
Sure. I think the most poignant question back to you is, will it be necessary? Because you're taking these things in order to supplement something that's missing. So creatine, where does that come from? Meat. What was the protein?
The whey
protein. Where does that come from? Dairy.
Yeah.
So cut out the middleman and consider that the powder is not. It's a processed thing. It's not necessarily food.
Yeah.
It's the powder, and that's my dog.
Yeah, we got little Sammy.
Keep tapping her. How about you sit down, buddy?
Doing some laps.
Sit. No, sit down. Yeah, I love you.
Good boy.
Come on. There you go. My guide dog has been fed. I got some lamb's necks today. So he got lamb's necks from the butcher. Didn't get any last time. But you're probably wanting to be fed the rest of his food
he's giving
soon.
you those eyes.
He's giving me the look, isn't he? So just bye for a little bit. We're nearly finished.
Okay, so so
On your bed.
supplements.
On your
I
bed.
guess my reason for taking them is just to
On your bed.
increase my protein intake, not necessarily supplement it for a meal.
Good boy. Yeah.
It'd still be safe to have on top of.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's such thing as too much necessarily. You know, I have heard you can have too much collagen. Of course, there's collagen in the meat, so you may not need too much collagen. I am under the impression if you eat too much protein, and you cannot eat too much fat. So your body will only accept so much fat and cholesterol for that matter, and the rest will come out the other end.
Right.
But protein, if you eat too much protein, it gets turned into glucose, of all things.
Right.
Yeah. And then if the glucose cannot be uptaken, it's de novo lipogenesis. It's then turned into saturated fat, which is also kind of curious.
Okay.
So you can, I guess you can have too much protein in the context of eating a lot of meat.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I guess I'll point out that you're probably having that protein powder because the plants are very devoid of the right type of proteins. They're not as bioavailable for the body. So, because you're having meat and eggs and seafood being extremely bioavailable, extremely highly absorbable, you just may not need to have that.
Okay.
So, and I'm not too sure how you would measure that. You know, I feel like I've had too much protein today. It's like, I don't know what the metric might be.
I don't have a cue for that.
Worthwhile researching that a little bit more.
Well, I was actually going to say, you did an interview with Hamish a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two.
It's a couple of months now.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Well, you see the size of him, he's huge.
Yeah, and
he's
so
ripped.
maybe I have to ask him if it's necessary for him to continue to keep taking protein supplements.
I
He might have a good answer for me.
I think because he's not too far away from you.
Yeah.
So you might be able to meet up sometime at the gym.
At the gym, have a sesh.
And say what about this and what about that?
Yeah.
And he's a lovely guy. I'm sure he'd love to help you out.
Yeah, no.
He's obviously doing something right. I mean, he's
a unit. He's an absolute unit.
His chest muscles are as big as my head.
Yeah. Bro has put in some serious work.
Yeah. I was surprised, and he does marathons. You'd think he'd be a bit top heavy, but no, he's doing the marathons as well.
He's versatile.
Yeah. Hamish, how you going, brother? We'll have to speak to you again soon.
Yeah, I'll be in your DMs asking you about protein powders.
Yeah, I'll give you his details.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Okay,
here we go.
Okay, so this is kind of a follow up from something else, but it's what should you do if you start to experience negative sides from switching over?
And this may be a follow-up. I didn't fully answer your question before. What are the negatives?
Yeah.
What are the drawbacks?
So what should somebody do if they are experiencing that?
Sure. Well, what in the context of negatives, what are they? I mean, there's physical, emotional, spiritual. So physical negatives, I guess you'd be concerned if you're having bloating or if you're having pain.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of the opposite. You'll be removing pain. You'll be removing, especially brain fog. You'll probably notice that fairly quickly. A lot of people do. So physically, if you've got something going on, much like before, you've got to rate that as something that needs a doctor's attention. Does it need hospital attention, an ambulance.
So the severity of such negatives.
Yeah. I mean, it might be that you've been doing this for a while, and then you have some seafood, for example. Then you realise, I'm getting tingling lips, or you might uncover something that you're not aware of.
Yeah.
So you just, as with before, if you eat something and you're not feeling right about it, then consider what's gone on.
Yeah.
I will say though, you're more likely to get food poisoning from eating plants than meat, and I think that goes without saying. So physically, emotionally, again, what are you going through? Is an external thing that's come up that you'd normally have to deal with? Is it something that's related to the diet, or is it something that you're having some family and friends that are questioning you about this stuff?
Right. Yeah, and that causes like anxiety or
Yeah. I would hope if you're open and upfront with these people that may have some problems, just let them know that you're trying this out, and that they shouldn't be worried. There's plenty of people who are doing it, and for the most part, they're all reporting that they're having vast improvements.
Yeah. From what I've seen so far, it's only been extremely positive. So.
And you could share the stories of myself and other people, and there's tons and tons of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
If someone has has some concerns. Spiritually, I don't know. Where do you fit into the world? How is everything going there? I think that's something that's a personal thing.
Yeah.
The first thing is probably physically, is there something going on? Emotionally, is it tied to that? Because those two can be intricately connected
for sure.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I think you'll be right. I really do think you'll be right. I mean, you're going about it the right way. Getting to listening to me for the past 3 months going on about it. There's something here. There's something, and all these doctors talking about it. Which, every day there's someone else putting their hand up and doing videos, and this has happened to me and it's fixed.
Yeah.
It's saved my life.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I don't think I would struggle with anything like that. Like, I have a great network of friends. Shout out to you guys.
Hello, Jimmy's friends. Look after him, guys. Do you have any vegan, vegetarian friends? We love you too. I'm not pointing you out for
I do have one. Yeah, she's cool. Cool.
Well, I like vegans and vegetarians. I've got friends.
She's not in your face about it.
Yeah. Oh, man, I get some abuse. On Facebook. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think the online realm is a lot different.
Keyboard warriors. They just say this hurtful stuff.
Yeah.
You're a tinfoil hat, flat Earth conspiracy theorist. It's like you couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, and I guess the same could be said about veganism. There's two sides to.
Yeah. What is propaganda?
Yeah.
Propaganda is sending out misinformation.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is I'm spreading missing information.
I like that.
You like that one?
Yeah, that's new.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Let's put that up on the screen. I've got a screenshot for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I have.
All right. Edit this one in.
Yeah. So if you didn't get that, guys, it's I'm spreading missing information.
Yeah.
This is essentially everything's upside down that we've been taught. So filling in what's actually correct is it's a big task because we're up against big forces, big food and drug companies, multi-billion, trillion-dollar companies whose vested interests are just to keep the stockbrokers happy.
Get the money rolling.
The share
stakeholders.
Yeah, all the stakeholders,
Yeah.
the stockbrokers, the people that hold share portfolios and whatever else.
Yeah.
But grassroots movement means that people like me and you that just go out, give this a go and go, oh wait, they're absolutely right, and all this other BS is absolutely wrong. But look, in the future, it'll be a big game of tug of war, us against them, and the thing is, they have the control, the power of the systems and levers that they can pull, trillions of dollars marketing, but what they don't have is the people. And they've been pushing people away for such a long time, and especially what happened with this global thing that happened in 2021. I think everybody's a bit more aware that, hey, we didn't necessarily need to get that, because the rest of that was BS. In fact, getting that caused more deaths than anything else.
Yeah, I think it definitely opened up the discussion of conformity and and should we just continue to do as we're told all the time, or is it worth actually putting your foot down and go, hold on a second,
should we be trusting all these people that stand to profit? What is the agenda? So I think we're going to go into a place where it'll be us against them, and them being the people that work for global media, for food and drug companies, which are essentially us individuals. Then having to contend with the fact that us and them, we are still the same. But they're working for the enemy. And how do they stop working for the enemy? I don't know. But it's
very deep seated.
But if we can make it so that they don't have that leverage of us requiring drugs, if they don't have the leverage of doctors are no longer trusted, the next door neighbour knows more than the doctor does. That's our leverage, because they're going to have to do something in order to make money in the future. And whether doctors turn into other areas of specialty, more acute care, more mental health care, because I think that's going to be huge, and this will be huge still in the future. We've damaged all these children, for God's sake. They're going to have a lifetime of problems.
Alrighty, we're getting a little bit sidetracked here.
Yeah, sorry guys.
That's alright. But it is on par with this next question is some common misconceptions about carnivore. Do you have any for me?
Oh, common misconceptions. Well, I think a misconception is that carnivore must be 100% all the time for everybody. And of course, there's going to be some hardcore advocates out there that say that you're not doing it right, and they don't want to hear what you have to say. And I think I can...
What, like gatekeeping in carnivore?
Yeah, I think it comes down to, if you've spent a lifetime of eating stuff that's made you sick, and now you've realised you cannot have that, I don't know, let's call it sourdough. I cannot have that sourdough, be it low carb or whatever, because it's going to mess me up. So you come along someone online and says, I just made some sourdough, jump down throat type reaction. I think that's what's going on, because some people just, let's not call it jealousy, some people will just advocate for what they think is the best for other people based upon their own experience. Whereas we do not want to go down the idea of an ism. an idealism, veganism.
Yeah. Because you get extremists.
Yeah, that's right. And we're all unique individuals, and we should be treated as such.
Yeah.
I think vegans should be able to be vegans. I mean, I don't care. I'm really upset that they try to stop people from eating other things, though, which is where I think the vegan argument really needs to go away.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they bloody well want, but don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to health, and I know only too well from my own personal experience, plants don't do me any favours.
Yeah.
And it's the meat that heals.
Yeah.
It's the way
I
it
have
is.
a conception. Is carnivore bad for the environment?
Oh, no, not at all. For the most part, the animals that we're talking about, chicken and meat and eggs and fish, they come from the country of origin. We're obviously quite lucky here in Australia. We grow all that sort of stuff. But if you consider that I have to use the word vegan, needs to have a protein source, and then they need to have a fat source. So something like avocados and nuts, they don't grow here all year round, so they are imported from other places all around the world. Just the mere fact that has to happen is a huge strain on the system. And even though it might seem somewhat significant, it's not, because it's a global thing.
Yeah.
Those avocados that grow in an orchard that are, as far as the eye can see, it's all that is grown there. There's not one insect, there's not one bird, there's not one rabbit. The whole thing is sterile, essentially.
Yeah.
The soil is turned to dirt, so there's absolutely not enough nutrients so they've got to pump in artificial fertilizer to grow the crops.
Right.
So that's bad for the environment, right? Having to transport things around the world is bad for the environment.
Like burning of fossil fuels.
Burning of fossil fuels and all that sort of thing. I know the meat that I bought recently, it comes from a farm. It's only 200 kilometres away, and it comes here directly from the abattoirs, directly to the butcher, which is owned by the farmer. And
is this down at Morpeth Butchery?
Yeah.
I'll chuck the farm up on the screen right now.
Yeah, please do. That'd be great. They're wonderful people. They look after me wonderfully. So bad for the environment. I mean, I think plant agriculture is extremely bad for the environment. Every animal, every marsupial, every mammal, every reptile, every bird, every fish, every insect, every microorganism in and around these crops die without question.
Yeah.
To give you an idea, in Australia, 1 billion mice get killed annually in the wheat fields in Western Australia.
1 billion mice.
1 billion mice in 1 year just in Western Australia.
That's detrimental to an ecosystem.
Well, that's a lot of mice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a food source for so many other things, though.
Well, yeah. And these mice get killed, and then they die somewhere, and a fox eats it, and the fox is dead. 4 quadrillion insects each year are killed in the USA. No, that's just the USA.
Yeah.
4 quadrillion insects. That's a hell of a lot of insects.
Is that from like agricultural farming? And...
Yep. It's poison.
Yeah.
So a grasshopper or a butterfly goes into the crop, gets onto the crop, has something, ingests the poison, bird comes along, eats the butterfly or the grasshopper, ingests multiple of these. So there's your bird that's come from over there, which isn't in the crop. The farmer didn't have to shoot it because it's been poisoned as a byproduct anyhow.
Yeah.
That same bird flies off over there. Again, Mr. Fox comes along, eats the bird, and the fox dies ultimately. And these are terrible deaths, and these bromide poisoning is a terrible way to die. And the other pesticides that they use. And then you go, well, this animal that just died, it's on the ground, and now all the maggots and the flies and all the ants and all the things that are going to...
It's like this butterfly effect of poison.
Yeah, this thing that's dead on the ground is now poisoning everything that's trying to feed on. So this whole cycle of death is just, it's awful.
Yeah.
And this is notwithstanding GMO type crops where they spray Roundup, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, on the crop. This stuff doesn't wash off, so we're eating these things.
Yeah.
And if the pesticide's strong enough to kill, what's my next thing? A caterpillar, let's say, or a bee.
Yeah, in like a low dose.
In a low dose.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that doing to the microbiome in your gut?
Slowly building up. Yeah.
So your microbiome is basically bacteria, smaller than a butterfly. You're killing yourself from the inside out by eating foods that have been sprayed with industrial poisons.
Yeah.
And there's no denying it happens.
It's careless, and there's another extreme case of 3M. You know 3M?
Mm-hmm. They make sticky tape.
Yeah, they do.
All sorts.
Teflon and all that, but yeah, they've been accused of a lot of things, but they've poisoned essentially the globe with PFAS.
PFAS, yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
The undying compound that is toxic.
Yep. To
pretty much everything it touches.
Yep. And we cook with it.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
absolutely
it's
crazy.
nuts. I mean, I watched this documentary on Stan, Poisoning the World, I think it was, and it scared the shit out of me.
Sure.
And now I'm very mindful about how I prepare things, and
I
want to minimise that as much as I can.
A bit the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in 98% of the population's bloodstream.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunately the case, and then like in the past 70 years, even the past 50 years, there's been huge problems that have come as a result of industrial seed oils, as a result of margarine, a result of changing the food pyramid in the 80s and basically telling everybody that saturated fat is bad and you need to eat carbohydrates as the primary basis of a person's diet.
Yeah.
It's absolute nonsense. It's obviously not working because everybody's getting sicker and fatter.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I said with my eyesight. It's like I don't feel too bad because everybody gets something. At least I know what it is at my age of 40 when I...
Yeah, and you found something that's helping.
Yeah. The mere fact that not only is the food pyramid upside down causing the problem, if you flip the pyramid the other way around, hey, that's a healthy option. Right there, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, eat your saturated fats and your fish and your eggs and your meat and...
Forget about the rest of it.
Yeah, just that carbohydrate's one at the bottom of the pyramid. Just slice that thing off, and we're doing good.
Okay, so when it comes to eating like mostly meat, is there enough micronutrients in meat?
Yeah, most definitely. So let's say there's essential nutrients. These are so macronutrients, fat and protein. You must have that. There's essential nutrients, that's amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins and minerals. You've got to have those. The essential ones are all in meat.
Do you need any sugar?
Nope.
You don't need any carbohydrates?
No.
None at all?
No, the body creates its own carbohydrates on demand and in perfect amounts as required. Doesn't matter if you're working out, if you're running a marathon, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Your body creates it, so you don't need to eat it. It's optional. So micronutrients though. Okay, so the cow eats grass, micronutrients in the grass. You're eating the cow, you're eating the micronutrients. Problem solved.
Right.
So that's where
it's actually absorbed in
the
meat.
Micronutrients is in the animal,
Yeah. Would you need to eat like a versatile range of different animals to achieve that?
No, and I guess that leans into the idea of, do I need organ meat, like liver or heart or whatever else? No, not necessarily. I think the evidence is fairly strong that if you're doing a carnivore diet, you could just eat the muscle meat of beef. That's pretty much it, and you'll be fine. If you're starting out as someone that has an existing nutrient deficiency, especially if it's known, like if you're known to have low vitamin A or low iron, for example, or low vitamin B12, probably a good idea to have some liver or something like that. I found raw beef liver to be tolerable. I didn't like it cooked. Sheep liver, I find was quite okay. And I've got some in the freezer, but I think I've had it once every 3 to 6 months. So not very often at all.
I don't know how I'd go with that stuff.
Sure. So the variety.
I'll try anything once. Not anything, but
Yeah, well, you've got kidney, you've got heart, I've had spleen. That was kind of weird. I've had tongue before. Tongue's apparently got quite a lot of micronutrients in it. A bit painful to cook, and you got to peel the skin off.
And look at it,
and look at it. But look at it as food. This is not entertainment anymore. This is one of the things that we've been doing as a culture is using food for entertainment. It's okay, fine. You're having a big feast, but that's kind of a funny way of looking at it, when in reality the food is a fuel for our body, and that's it. There's no other species on the planet that says, oh, this food's all about entertainment. Okay, a cat might play with its food occasionally because it wants to harass it basically. But we don't need to do that. To fully answer your question, variety is the spice of life. And having, if you can tolerate meat, fish, eggs, poultry, dairy,
all
go for it. That's all up to you. Would you live on dairy alone? No. Could you? For a while probably, but I mean, could you live on eggs?
Strictly eggs.
I mean, there's probably enough going on in eggs.
You get over omelets pretty damn quick.
But variety. So we're so lucky. We're not hunter-gatherers. We're not starving ourselves waiting for the next woolly mammoth to fall into the pit.
We're quite privileged.
We're quite privileged. 24 hours a day we can get any type of meat. When I first started doing this, I did try some different things. Buffalo, crocodile, camel, what else is there? Kangaroo, a few other things not coming to me.
Emu?
Yeah, emu. That was the other thing. Yeah, emu. Crocodile was quite good actually.
I've had crocodile.
It had this gelatinous thing going on. I think with a really good sauce, it'd be just delightful.
The first time I tried it was Freddo's pies.
Oh, in a pie?
Yeah.
Crocodile pie?
Crocodile pie.
That sounds as Aussie as you can get.
Yeah, man. Bloody oath.
What do you want there, buddy? Crock pie, thanks.
Give us a crock pie, mate.
Crock pie, mate.
But yeah, I guess pies, you probably eat it without the pastry these days, wouldn't you?
Yeah, flip the pastry off and
Yeah.
use it as a cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good, mate.
Okay. So doing carnivore, is this a long-term thing? I know you kind of mentioned before that you like to think of carnivore as more of a lifestyle and a way of eating rather than just like a short-term diet.
Yeah.
So you can do it long-term.
Yep.
And you're fine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's a lady called Maggie. She's 80. I think she'll be 83 now. She's been carnivore for 65, 66 years. She's still got blonde hair. She can still jump a fence. She's a cattle rancher.
Yeah.
In Alaska somewhere, I think. So 65 years. That's obviously long enough. There's another guy called Rick Charger Mopar. Hello, shout out to Rick. He's been doing it for over 40 years. And there's multiple people in the carnivore space that have been doing it for 15 years or so. And it was part of an original group with a fellow, his first name's Washington, I believe. I won't name names, and there's plenty of people in that 5-year period space. And because in the past few years it seems to have kicked off quite a bit, so you've got a lot of people like me that are a year to 2 years in. It's sustainable over the long term. Wouldn't call it a diet, call it a way of eating. Do you have to stay hardcore the whole time? Up to you, whatever your situation is.
Yeah.
Do you want to have variety? If you want it, maybe you don't want it. If you train your taste buds to the point where they're not expecting any particular type of sweet stuff, it might be just every day you're just looking for that steak or that chop.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what your brain wants.
Yeah.
It's telling your body, yep, this worked yesterday, I want more of that, please.
So your palate kind of adjusts.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. The carb addiction, as I say, should go away within the first 2 or 3 weeks. It might linger around, but your taste buds will change to the point where it's like, I want more fat.
Yeah.
I'm craving that fat cap on my sirloin. I bought some today, and they're like, the cap's like this big. It's really, really quite chunky.
Yeah.
So you get a love for the flavours and the textures and whatever else you've got going on with it.
Cool. My next question, I had someone tell me a few years ago when I was making a spaghetti bowl or something, and he kind of just watched me chuck all this mincemeat in, and he said, hey, you got to watch out for your cholesterol, mate. That's wild what you're doing there. And I kind of just brushed him off because I've been eating this for a long time.
Spag bog, yep.
Yeah, that's
classic.
a staple.
Yeah, fully.
And then I kind of just wanted to know about cholesterol. Is it something you should be concerned about?
Absolutely not. So I mentioned it before. The body creates 70% of its own cholesterol as it's needed, which means that the other percentage, let's say 30% of intake, needs to come from your diet. Which to me begs the question, is cholesterol important? Well, yes, if the body's making its own cholesterol, it's very important.
Yeah.
The key part of this is dietary cholesterol, like eggs got cholesterol in them, has no bearing on the serum cholesterol. So what's in your bloodstream, which is packaged up in lipoproteins.
Yeah.
So So to answer your question, your body will only accept what it needs, and the rest of it will lubricate your stool. That's probably the best way to put it. So you essentially cannot eat more cholesterol than you need.
Then your body's required.
Than your body requires, and it won't accept it.
Right.
And conversely, your body must have cholesterol because it's used to create every cell in the body, the cell wall. It's used to create the myelin sheath that's in the brain. It's used as a precursor to create all the hormones, all the sex hormones, and including vitamin D. So if you don't have enough cholesterol, you're screwing up your hormones: estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, oxytocin, and the prednisone. You're screwing up potential to create brain proper cells, proper brain structures.
Yeah.
It's vitally important. And this is why I won't say risk. There is an association with taking a cholesterol lowering drug with dementia because of the association of creating the brain cells, the myelin sheath in the brain cells. So essentially,
Right. So there's been a link in lower cholesterol.
association, yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Association.
Yeah. Essentially, if you look at the Framingham study, I think it's the one. The lower your cholesterol, the higher the association with all-cause mortality. The higher cholesterol is the higher your association with low mortality. So higher your cholesterol, longer you live. Can't go wrong.
Interesting.
So
that proves that guy wrong. Who told me not to cook spag bowl.
Oh yeah, that was definitely bad advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's been studied, especially in eggs. There's 1 year's eggs is good, the next year eggs are bad, and you should only have the whites and chuck away the yolks. It's like, oh, they're so full of BS.
It is hard to know what you're reading is correct sometimes, and that kind of like gets me to my next question is like when you were starting Carnivore, where did you get your resources? What did you do to know what like the right things to eat, things to avoid? Yeah,
sure.
Can you tell me?
So I started with keto, and that was really easy. Just low carb veg and a heap of meat, and just reduce out the meat. Reduce out the veg. So I guess uniquely for me, I was just researching using my phone by talking to the thing and say, can you look this up for me? And then randomly pressing on things, because at that point my eyesight was not, my visual acuity was not good enough to navigate the phone particularly well. But because I went to Carnivore, my eyesight got better, and then I was able to do more research. And then I found all these doctors. So Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Robert Silas, Dr. Philip Ovadia, Dr. Paul Mason, all the guys from the channel called Low Carb Down Under, Dr. Robert Kiltz. There's so many of these doctors I could go on that have, and the common thread with these guys is doctors that have taken their own advice which didn't work for them. They were pre-diabetes, they were bound for a heart attack, they were obese, they had skin problems, they had all these problems.
Right.
They tried their own advice, eat less, move more, didn't work, made the problem worse. So by process of elimination, and some fortuitous guidance from above, who knows? Yeah. They figured it out themselves, and that's what makes these people so credible. Is not only are they doctors, but they've had their own story, and they've had to wade through the BS. in order to come up with the truth themselves, and a lot of the times with trial and error.
Yeah.
Some of the times, like with Dr. David Unwin, he actually had one of his patients come in and had a huge go at him. She was a diabetic, and Unwin was saying, you've got to take this insulin, and she came back to me, he's like, you didn't tell me the carbohydrates causes the sugar to go up. And he's going, well, oh yeah. He's like, why didn't you just tell me to stop eating the carbohydrates? And the doctor's like, oh, well, if you put it like that, that's why didn't I?
Yeah.
So there's cases where the doctors have had to figure it out themselves. There's cases where the patients have figured it out themselves and told the doctor, this is what I've done, your advice is crap.
Yeah.
And other people telling other people, which is essentially what I do now. I see someone that I can give that might lend them 2 minutes of their time. I'll usually try to work it into the conversation.
Yeah.
And it's part of altruism. And if they haven't heard of it before, they're not going to hear from it necessarily because they're not going to look it up.
Yeah.
I've got a health problem, something to do with old age. What can you do? Go to a doctor. And you get someone like me who comes up and says, blah, 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 carnivore diet, you can fix yourself. And like my taxi driver, Darren, and his wife, Kim, heard it from me. And then someone in his other social group, husband and wife farmer team, they went carnivore. And he's gone, yep, I'm going carnivore. Can you send me your YouTube channel? I want to research it.
Domino effect.
The domino effect,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the credibility that I was looking for. That's how I did my research through YouTube.
Yeah.
I mentioned it before, folks, if you haven't checked out my channel, please subscribe, like this video, because this is a beauty. Leave me a comment and check out the playlist. There's a lot of playlists there. If you're interested in paleoanthropology, you might find some gems in there, but the topics are very varied, and I encourage you to have a look at them and share the whole playlist with family, friends, and anybody that you can get to that might listen to you. And they're all going to think, hey, this is the craziest stuff I've ever heard before. And like I did, which is fine, it's a perfectly normal reaction. But just that earworm might just take hold one day. It's just like, oh, I've got this problem, and so said they cured it by doing this. And this being the carnivore diet.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty amazed still myself.
I am too. I mean, this is why I'm, gonna give it a shot.
Give it the 90 days.
I guess, in my case, it's more I'm not trying to fix something, but it's preventative. If I start now,
yes,
then I won't have to worry about it.
Like I said before, everybody gets something.
Yeah.
But you don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to get to the point it's like, I'm suffering, I'm having problems, because it's so insidious that there's an incremental getting worse and worse and worse and worse every day until that point it's like, I'm in hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, rewind that shit. Don't go down the path.
Yeah.
There's an interesting saying that's the majority of people will take the path that's wide open. So essentially what you're doing is taking a narrow path and you're not following the sheep. You're not following the crowd. Yeah. And that can be very powerful and enlightening, and you never know what you turn around and say, I didn't know I had this problem, and bam, there it is.
I mean, like if it helps me with sleeping and that afternoon lethargic kind of tiredness, that's enough for me to be convinced and go, this is worth your while. Another thing I was just going to maybe quickly finish on, because we're living in a quite detrimental economy right now in Australia. It's quite hard to to stay on top of bills. And I just want to know, in your experience, have you found it considerably more expensive to be on this diet, or have you found it cheaper? Like, what's your experience?
Sure. It really comes down to what you buy. I have the ability to pay for expensive steak, and I do that from time to time, not always. I can get a 3-inch ribeye, and they might be $70 each.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's quite a lot. But yeah, you can do it cheaply as well. I mean, recently I got a half mix, half lamb, half beef, which ended up being $20 a kilo.
Yeah.
It's all flat packed and sealed up. You know, get slabs of it in the freezer, and it just works so good. It's really super tasty.
And would you say like a normal meal would be how many grams of meat? Like 400 grams?
Well, that's, for me, it's around about 1 kilo.
For one serving?
Yeah, so it's 1,000 grams.
And do you eat that once a day, twice a day?
Generally only once a day.
Once a day.
So if you're looking at my daily expense, given that thing, that'd be $20 a day, or $140 a week. Mate, you know, $20 a day, that'd be breakfast.
Yeah.
But the amount of times I've spent $20.
Oh, that's cheaper than breakfast.
Ham, cheese, tomato, toasty, with some salad.
Yeah.
Sorry, a fruit salad and a coffee. $20.
Yeah. Easily.
And that's breakfast. And if I have breakfast, that makes me hungry for lunch.
Yeah.
And that makes me hungry for dinner.
Yeah.
I find that generally how it works for me. But
and do you eat like at lunchtime? Do you eat at night? When do you get that one meal in?
Right. Sometimes it's 2. Depends what I'm eating.
2 meals or 2 p.m?
Sometimes 2 meals.
Yeah. Okay.
And generally around about 2 to 3 p.m. That's when I'm getting hungry. Anyhow.
Okay.
So if I haven't had anything for, let's call it breakfast, brunch, lunch, then 2 to 3. And I feed the dog around about the same time as myself.
Yeah. Synchronized.
Yeah,
Boys.
synchronized eating. Otherwise, he's just going to drool over everything. So if I'm eating.
Yeah.
So I think to answer your question, I can regulate how much money I spend on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
I'm not taking any prescription medication.
Yeah.
That costs money. And I'm not going to the doctor. That costs money. I'm not going to specialists. That costs heaps of money.
Yeah. So the long term, you're actually saving a lot.
I think I am. Yeah, I think I'm. Compared to the standard diet, and especially if I get home delivered food. I mean, just for myself, I might get enough for a couple of days. It'd be $100.
Yeah. Yeah, easily.
Easy $100.
Yeah.
I didn't do that all the time. I used to cook mainly for myself. But I'd be chucking stuff out. You know, it's like I bought all these fruits and vegetables, and they're all in the bin because I just couldn't get to them quick enough.
Yeah.
And especially these days.
That's just a complete waste, you know.
Yeah, and especially these days, you know, I'm living here by myself, and so I've got to be self-reliant. So the food freedom. I go to the fridge, I grab a lump of meat, it's about this amount.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. If it could be beef, it could be lamb, it's a lucky dip each time.
Yeah.
And I defrost it, and then I find out what it is, and I cook it up.
Yeah.
And every time it tastes great.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah.
So it takes the guesswork out of life. It's food freedom. I'm not spending as much time shopping, having to chuck stuff out, having to clean the fridge out.
Yeah.
You know, it's just... So I'd say I'm saving money in the long term, but you know, every now and again I'll get a 3-inch ribeye or 2.
Treat yourself.
Yeah. Well, today I got some oysters.
Yeah.
I got a dozen. I couldn't get the Pacific oysters, which are a lot bigger. And I got some Balmain bugs, so some crustaceans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I might make up my own sauce just with the egg and whip up some egg yolk and make a dipping sauce.
Oh yeah.
With a bit of...
Do like a little hollandaise or something?
Yeah, just a little bit of butter, a bit of apple cider vinegar. I think I've got some of that there. A bit of lemon.
Yeah.
Make a dipping sauce and dip it in. And,
Delicious.
Yeah. No, I eat like a king. That's the way I
Oh, I've seen. I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think things are working well.
But you can make it affordable. Like, because in my case, it's like I have certain budget and I need to stay within that budget.
Sure. You can definitely do things on a budget. Mince, ground beef is always going to be slightly cheaper.
Yeah.
The fattier mince, the 70-30 mince, is going to be even cheaper. Like I can get that for $15 a kilo from the butcher.
Yeah.
And of course, there's some expensive steaks. So instead of getting a ribeye, you can get a chuck eye. But honestly, just if you go to a good butcher, get a good report of them, tell them what you're doing. I'm doing this diet. I want the fatty meat. Give me the fatty meat. Yeah. And I've got a good relationship with the butcher.
Yeah. No, they're tops there over at Morpeth.
Yeah. It makes life a lot easier, a lot nicer.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Yeah.
I think we've covered everything.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
And of course, the long-term benefit being that, hey, I'm not going to end up in hospital with multiple decades of bad health. That's costly.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's a pain in the brain, it's something that you can avoid. And I would hope you go throughout all of your life without having any health problems, because I think that's the norm.
Yeah.
That should be the norm.
It should be the norm. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like minimising it as much as we can.
Yeah. Honestly, we've been listening to the corporate powers that their bottom line is profit. And that's how they're motivated. I mean, there's a few people that are motivated by greed and profit. There's some people that are motivated by pride and power. Believe me, for what I've said is the Bible. One fellow comes to mind is Dr. Ansel Keys, and Dr. Harvey Kellogg, the creator of the Kellogg's Sanitarium.
Yeah.
You've got powers like the Seventh-day Adventist Church that are wanting everybody to be vegan because they believe that it'll bring around the second coming of Christ, and then 144,000 of them will get flown off in a big spaceship and up into heaven or some crazy BS. I don't know.
There's that extremist we were talking about earlier.
There's some weird ideas out there.
Yeah. It's a weird world we live in.
Yeah, but 4.5 million years of evolution since Homo habilis. 3,000 to 300,000 to 350,000 years of evolution with Homo sapiens. Before that was Homo erectus, is 500,000 years. So we're talking hundreds of thousands of years, and we've been had the control of fire and tools and hunting for at least 1.8 to 2.5 million years.
Yeah.
So we've been smart enough to survive for millions of years, and all of a sudden in the past, well, let's say 70 years, everything's going down the toilet and quick.
Yeah.
And literally it has been happening for thousands of years. Like the Egyptians, all the mummified Egyptians, and there's mummified everybody. They're full of cancer and atherosclerosis, heart disease, atherosclerosis, diabetes. They can see this.
And that was like around the introduction of agriculture.
Couple thousand years ago.
Yeah.
We're talking about, in Egypt, the mummies in Egypt.
Yeah.
But all this started, 8 to 10,000 years ago. And before that, the fossil record shows that we were taller, smart, bigger brains, bigger jaws, all the teeth. And then all of a sudden, bam, just within a generation or two, smaller brains, smaller stature size, all these health problems, including the denture, dental problems and the actual shrinking the jaw.
Yeah.
So it's been going on for a few thousand years, and let's say we've been lucky enough to develop society during that time. Agriculture has certainly given us the ability to sit, stay, and think about stuff and develop stuff. And
Yeah.
look at everything we've got around us.
Yeah.
That definitely would not have happened. But at the same time, we're getting dumber. So I think we need to come to the realization that our diet plays a huge part in running our body. Consider the body as a Formula One car. You put the right fuel in it, drive it the right way to last for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Do the opposite, which is what we're doing, and that's not going to happen.
Run fuel.
Crash and burn real quick.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say about that.
Lovely. I think we covered all bases there.
Okay.
If you guys have any questions for 101 Carnivore that we missed here, definitely leave that in the comments.
Is that what we're going to call it? Carnivore 101?
Yeah.
Carnivore for Dummies.
Or Carnivore for Dummies.
We might research it and see if that's been used before, because I don't know, I kind of think there might be a Carnivore for Dummies book. And if there is, we'll put the link in the description and call the title of this something else. Maybe.
We'll figure it out.
So, Jimmy, say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks. Goodbye, everybody. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bang. That was fun.
Great. Oh.